Welcome to Evergreen Speedway's Home Track Heroes on KSTW 11.
And welcome into Seattle 11. It is Home Track Heroes from Evergreen Speedway. Glad to have you with us. Greg Pyland, Caleb Hart, we are with you for a big afternoon and evening of racing. Greg, a lot of money on the line and a lot of interesting divisions coming up for us.
You know, 60 Minutes of Fear, always one to circle on your calendars, but very excited for tonight and very excited to watch the racing here this evening.
60 Minutes of Fear for the Outlaw Figure Eights coming up, $5,000 to win. We have got the 30 Minutes of Fear coming up for the Stinger Eights as well. Mini bump to pass on the card. We'll start things off with our 50-lap Hornet National A main event for $1,000 to win as well. So big money night here on Home Track Heroes, the Buzz Inn Steakhouse, Ed Ritchie, 60 Minutes of Fear, presented by Max Power Law. Front row for this one on a brand new race course. On top of that, Brian McNamara, the 101, sponsored by True Line Wheel and Frame. Scarlett Fisher's 19 next to him in the North Sound fence car.
Row number 2 has the 03 of Lucas Hassenfleck, sponsored by Cornerstone Homes. On the outside, the 1 of Zach Bristol, sponsored by Gourmet Latte.
Third row is Brady Smith. He drives the 12B. Next to Brady, it's the 717 of Diesel Snyder, sponsored by Herring.
Misfit Motorsports sponsors the 163 of Michael Duncan. On the outside, the 98 of Tom Hibbs, brought to you by Wife Candy.
Fifth row is Tegan Bjornsson, another Misfit Motorsports car in the 59. Outside of him, or as the 59, is the 77 of Christian Miller, sponsored by Turbo Espresso.
And sponsored by Elite Construction Contractors, it's the 85 of Hunter Jenkins. On the outside, the 00 of Dan Miller, sponsored by Exterior Wall Systems Incorporated.
Row behind them, new car number for Trent Gillespie. He's in the 9 here this evening, the Burger Madness sponsored car. Matt Snyder next to him, the 15, also sponsored by Hair Inc.
Next row back, the 33 of Ryan Hassenfleck, sponsored by Cornerstone Homes. On the outside, the 17S of Gino Solomon, brought to you by Valley Asphalt.
It's the world's tallest Hornet row between Cody Cooey in the 46K, who's all of about 6'3", the JBR racing car, and next to him, like the 6'6" Preston Brandt, the 32 car sponsored by North County Towing.
Next row back, the 30 of Pat Folger, brought to you by Olympia Pizza. On the outside, the 521 of Riley Riddell, sponsored by DL Enterprises.
Back 4 cars. Carly Croft's the 5, Crofts Removal. 06, Chuck Fisher, DCL Construction sponsors it. Trinity Rosel's 48, the CNR Gutters car. And Gabe Sessler is in the Joe's Speed Shop, number 28. We're green flag. We're going to quad box here for a second. You're getting a lot of different camera angles here on the early portions of this show, Greg. And a brand new race course for the Hornet Nationals here is they've got the chicane on the back straightaway. So a hard left before the hard right into the boot portion of the course.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see those additional tires out there set up as an additional impediment for them to be able to get by as they're going on this kind of modified road course here once again. And nice to see Zach Bristol with a good early run here, the 77 of Christian Miller, Riley Riddell in the bottom left side of your screen in the 521. And now taking a look inside of Riley Riddell.
So we are going to go live inside Riley's car and gives you a really good look at what's going on in this race course. We know McNamara is going to be out front. We know that trying to chase him down early is Bristol. But here's a good look at that left and this first right into the boot, that weak portion of the course. And then another very hard left as there's action going on all in front of Riley right now.
And, it's something to be able to mention. It's easy to see. There's a little bit of condensation on the camera right now, too. But it's definitely going to be a little bit of a slippery course out there. So you add in some additional turns here and a little bit of precipitation on the course. It's going to make things interesting. We just see Scarlett Fisher now coming into view. Scarlett started on the front row with Brian McNamara. But it'll be really interesting to see as this 50-lap race goes on what this little bit of water on the track is going to do for these cars.
We just saw a very interesting look. That's the 28 of Gabe Sessler, who has just snuck up and ahead of Riley. And you saw how much speed he carried through the chicane. But as he started to make the hard right-hand turn, did you see how much that car wobbled front to back as he was getting into the corner? That is indicative of almost carrying too much speed in the turn. Let's watch and see how Gabe tries to attack it this time as Riddell trying to sneak underneath him. So you see the big shot down to the inside corner and watching coming in. It's a much more stable corner. Looks like he got that car woed up a lot better this time as he made that hard right.
And it's a really interesting thing to see Tegan Bjornsson, who's now 2 cars ahead of Riley Riddell, And we'll see if he does it this next time by again. But as he was coming into that first turn, he went very wide, almost into the 3/8 oval to be able to cut across and maybe have a better angle at it. It looks like Teagan's going to stay on the low side, so he tried it last time, decided it wasn't successful, and he's going to go back to doing what all the other cars are doing and kind of trying to stay close in that turn 1.
So watch the front end of the Sessler cars. He comes into the corner, big heavy contact, and he's going to get squirrely after the contact with Rudell. A couple of JBR-sponsored machines working their way through the corner there as you got a real good look at what exactly this new course is going to do, and we're going to get our first caution of the event as two cars are together off the left-hand turn through the boot, the 19 and the 48, Scarlett Fisher and Trinity Rosal, the two involved. Let's get a look at the replay.
Yeah, and it looks like there's you see Scarlett Fisher. Here's a look inside Pat Folger's car, and just a little bit of contact there by Trinity Rosal on the backside there of Scarlett Fisher. Here's a look inside Scarlett Fisher's as they come in and make that hard left-hand turn going to the 3/8 oval, and just contact, nothing to do there but spin around.
Quickly got to the clutch, pulled the car out of gear, so nothing, no damage done to the transmission or anything like that. That's going to give these cars a chance to gather up and get back together. This is a 50-lap main event, Greg. It's a long one for the Hornet drivers on the new course, as they will tuck in and go side by side and ready back to green flag action with Brian McNamara up in front in the 101.
Yeah, and it looks like still the one of Zach Bristol's going to be on the outside. So as we go green flag racing here once again, Brian McNamara going to be on the inside, Zach Bristol on the outside as they make that first hard left-hand turn and 4 wide. I'm not sure if that's a common occurrence, but that was pretty exciting going into that first turn.
Well, it's one of the things that we kind of saw out of the viewpoint of the Rudell car from in cockpit is that there isn't one singular way to navigate this course. There's a lot of different options you can take to get in through the corners, where you want to accelerate, where you want to brake, etc.
Yeah, and you know, I have to think, too, what a great car count that we see for this race here tonight for Interstate Batteries Hornet Nationals. And, you know, you got to think that money on the line that you talked about earlier, that's got to be a big motivator for all of these drivers to get their cars ready for maybe one more weekend out here at Evergreen Speedway.
Well, they're all going to be willing to try something, too. If something doesn't work, throw something else against the wall, see if it sticks right. As you are looking a little bit further back in the pack, I saw Ryan Hausenfluck, the 2022 track champion, back there trying to weave his way forward. Amongst others is good racing action. I think that's one of our Snyder drivers who's got the right front falling off early on in this contest.
I think that's Diesel Snyder in the 717, but yeah, at least hanging on as long as he can. A different car there for Diesel, and there it finally just falls off right just before or just after that first hard left-hand turn, but right behind him the 77 of Christian Miller trying to push there, but Diesel now seems like he's going just a little bit faster and putting some pressure on the car right in front of him after he lost that bumper.
Well, as the sun starts peeking its way out, he just shed some unwanted weight at that point in time. Christian Miller in the 77 trying to drive his way up and through. Last year, 2022's runner-up in their point standings here at Evergreen Speedway. And there's Gino Solomon, 17, poking his nose in as well. It's a flock of Hornets coming through this track.
It definitely is. And kind of towards the back there, you can see Ryan Hausenfluck kind of trying to make his way through there. Maybe a little bit of contact there with the 77 of Christian Miller right before making that hard left-hand turn. But the 33 of Ryan Hausenfluck now going to be on the outside of Gino Solomon as they come around the final set of turns here before we get across the start-finish line. But just 8 laps down now at this point as we take a look back. There's the one of Zach Bristol, your new race leader.
Might have just seeded it, in fact. I think the 9 of Gillespie just snuck around him around the corner. So weird seeing Gillespie in the all red with white 9 car. He's usually in a black, multi-painted flames, etc. going on. So now it is Gillespie over Bristol. And you saw Bristol do something that a couple of these other drivers have done as well, creeping up to the very high side in turn 3 and 4, and they're doing that to avoid the wet that condense that kind of gathers up in puddles at the bottom of those corners.
And there goes Brian McNamara. And you just as you talk about puddles, Brian McNamara gets a little bit loose there going around, and it's going to be the 03 of Lucas Hausenfluck that's going to get by Brian McNamara. So now on the podium, as it stands right now, the 03 of Lucas Hausenfluck, with it looks like Brian trying to recover here as they come back around into turns 3 and 4 with the 717 side-by-side, but good job there by Brian McNamara to recover. And like you said, Trent Gillespie having one heck of a run right now in the 9 car.
They're going to go 3 wide into this turn as the 17 making his presence felt. Gino Solomon announcing his presence with authority, picks up a couple in that set of turns. Let's watch how he gets around to the sharp right-hander into the boot. carrying that speed quite well. So Gino Solomon having a heck of a run here on our Hornet Nationals main event. McNamara closing up on Snyder, looking to pick up the position, and Tom Hibbs, the 98 car, lingering, waiting for opportunity for himself.
Yeah, and it's nice for me to see Diesel Snyder with a good run here. Obviously, it's somebody that came up through the Hornet division, the youth Hornet division out here at Evergreen Speedway, and I think having a really good showing here as we have 39 laps remaining, but he's pulling away a little bit from Brian McNamara, so definitely see a lot of growth in this young driver, and excited to see him out here on the course having a wonderful Saturday.
Well, settle in. Again, we are only now, 12 laps and 38 to go. Our longest Hornet main event of the year. That's going to be a recurring theme. Our longest Hornet main, our longest Stinger main, our longest Outlaw main of the year here at the Buzz Inn Steakhouse, Ed Ritchie. 60 Minutes of Fear, presented by Max Power Law. We're watching the battle right now. Make it actually fifth on back. Diesel Snyder 717, and Brian McNamara kind of losing touch with him.
Like you said, and there's a little bit of a car part there, kind of sitting in the middle, and it looked like there Ryan Hassenfleck just maybe took care of that as he went down the access road. But it'd be kind of interesting, like you said, 50 laps, and see, hopefully everybody got themselves a full tank of gas before they came out, because this is, like you said, a lot further than the Hornets are used to running out in this track.
Look at the speed that Ryan Hassenfluck just carried through, coming off the high side of turn number 4 and into this first set of turns. Again, brand new course for these drivers, and your veterans are quickly figuring out how hard they can push their race car to make some speed in and around it. As you see Gillespie just straight up flying. You see the speed differential between him and the cars that he's lapping right now. Absolutely crushing him out there is Trent Gillespie at this point in time of the race.
Yeah, and that's Annika Duncan right in front of the 9 of Trent Gillespie, and Zach Bristol in that second spot right now, just about coming into frame right now. So you see he's about the access road, maybe behind at this point, but a couple of cars separate the 9 of Trent Gillespie and the 1 of Zach Bristol, so he'll be able to use that to his advantage. But maybe I'm getting a little bit excited early. Like you said, there's still a lot of race left to go, 35 laps to go now at this point.
You time it out. Those cars were Gillespie was just making the pass about 5 laps ago, and now a quick count in my head, maybe a 5-second advantage. If he's added a second per lap, he's got a chance to, as soon as he gets really into the thick of this field, to really put a lot of cars a lap down if he can maintain that gap that he's growing over Bristol right now.
And I just think the way that I've seen Trent Gillespie race, and I could be totally wrong on this, Caleb, but it seems like he has a great chance of winning the race, or he has a really good chance of coming in towards the end of the pack, because he is an aggressive driver out there, but maybe he's a little bit more consistent sometimes. But I just see him go into situations where he gets into a little bit of trouble, but certainly not tonight.
We have seen the checkers or wreckers mentality out of Trent a time or two. Right now he's in a really good spot to the point where he could be fairly conservative if he wanted to. Don't know if that's in his personality or not, though.
So we'll see. Nice look here at Zach Bristol in the 1 car, passing by Annika Duncan. He's got, it looks to me, maybe that's the 17 of Gino Solomon.
Solomon stuck by him. That's the second place car. We had mentioned Solomon with a really strong run. So Solomon now P2 on this field, and going to look to try to close in on Gillespie as we are getting a little bit closer to the halfway mark of this race. With that being said, we need to take our first time out here at the contest, so we will be back with more. This is the Hornet Nationals main event here at the 60 Minutes of Fear, as you are watching Home Track Heroes from Evergreen Speedway here on Seattle 11. We're back here on Seattle 11, Home Track Heroes with the Hornet National main event on the track. I am Caleb Hart. He is Greg Pyland, and you are in cockpit with our race leader, Trent Gillespie in the 9 car, and Gillespie is mired amongst traffic, and that is second place Gino Solomon right up on his rear. So if you see Gillespie fishtailing the car, working it around, it's because he has got Gino Solomon right up there, challenging him for the race lead.
Yeah, and like you talked about earlier, what a great run by the 17X Gino Solomon, and now Gino's going to be on the outside, and you talked about that earlier, the importance maybe being a little bit high, and it looks like Gino has translated that to take over that first place spot. So now out in the lead, the 17S of Gino Solomon in front of Trent Gillespie.
That's one of the most easy things about racing. You got to run where they're not, as, Gillespie got down in the corner, and he pinched that, something serious coming through the chicane. Solomon going to try the outside of him coming into our 3rd and 4th corner on our 3/8 mile. And look at the speed that he's carrying through there. They go door panel to door panel down the front straightaway. And at the line, Solomon's got the advantage, as Gillespie going to go in and absolutely throw a shot on Carly Croft.
Yeah, and Carly Croft gets completely spun out there. Gino Solomon able to avoid any kind of potential carnage there for the 17S. And cruising through here as we take a look back, there's the 33 of Ryan Hasenfluck also coming through. But as it sits right now, Ryan was in that third spot. Trent Gillespie was in the second spot. So we'll see as we take a look once again for the 9 how he recovered after that hit on Carly.
Interestingly enough, we just kind of hinted at it, a little bit of foreshadowing, but you didn't even know it, Greg, with Gillespie getting into another car while he's racing for the lead, or trying to protect the lead, we should say. And that knocks him out of the top spot. So Gillespie going to have to scramble to catch up as Solomon's your leader. And there is the 33 of Hasenfluck starting to make some moves and trying to run down the 9 of Trent, as you see him also, like a number of other drivers, using that middle to upper groove and really carrying a lot of speed off the fourth corner.
Yeah, and Trent Gillespie right in front of the 30 of Pat Folger, and it looks like something just happened there for Trent Gillespie, Caleb.
I don't know if he just got shown the black flag. Is that what I think happened? And that might have been for the Croft incident. Yeah, she had him covered going into the corner, and unfortunately a little too heavy with the bumper. So the next time these cars come across the transponder loop, you're going to see Gillespie, or you should see Gillespie, disappear out of that scoring run, as he has been penalized here in this race. And that'll change up the top 3.
And, you know, we've seen it so much, too, right? There's so much work that goes into, especially an event like this, where the drivers obviously have a lot of passion. They're not going to be out here Saturday in and Saturday out without having that passion. But, you know, you got to assume that he's going to be pretty upset when he sees that black flag coming across the start-finish line.
Some drivers race better when they're on the upper end of the emotional scale, when they're really wired for going. Some guys prefer to be much more cool, calm, and collected. Zach Bristol, who was up running around the 4th or 5th position, almost off racetrack for a second. He'll pick it back up, but a number of spots being lost for Bristol as that car is slowing coming off the corner.
Yeah, and he had a little bit of contact there just coming out of the access road, got into the back end of the 03 of Lucas Hasenfluck, and there you see, like you said, Zach Bristol in the number 1 car going very slowly on the high side down, very likely going into pit lane.
Well, if you were taking bets here on this one at Angel of the Winds Casino, you would have thought that Bristol would have been one of your contenders. Speaking of which, Angel of the Winds Casino Resort has sports betting. Think you could pick a winner? Prove it at Angel of the Winds Casino Resort, the only home for sports betting north of Seattle, exit 210 off I-5 in Arlington.
So they have the adjustment now. Gino Solomon, the 17S, your leader, coming into this final set of turns here. Ryan Hasenfluck in the 33 in that second spot. As we see Gino looking awful smooth and awful fast coming up here side by side through the start-finish line. 17 laps to go, but very impressive here for the 17S.
This would be a breakout performance for Solomon in the 17 car, as he is trailing around the 85 of Hunter Jenkins, looking to put him down a lap. Second place is the black with gray and yellow number 33 of Ryan Hasenfluck. So keep an eye on your screen to see how much Ryan can close on Gino while you've got them both in picture. Solomon, again, seems to carry just a ton of speed off of 4 and into 1, but now is going to have to navigate slower traffic to get through this course, and that's a great opportunity for Ryan to try to catch him.
And what a great battle here by Hunter Jenkins in the 85. Kind of obviously, like you said, losing some of that ground down the front stretch, but then taking that advantage of the low side going into that first set of turns, and there goes Gino finally getting around the 85 of Hunter Jenkins. But putting on a good little battle there back and forth with the 17S.
Well, and it significantly cost Solomon, because that gap that he had in between him and Hasenfluck has been cut in half in 1 lap. Hasenfluck through as Sessler kind of got sideways going into 1. If Ryan can get by those 2 slower cars much faster than Solomon can, he can continue his march towards the front, because Solomon's got him lined up like ducks in a row here to try to make his way by.
Yeah, and so you see the 33 of Ryan Hasenfluck in that second spot, and there is the 03 of Lucas Hasenfluck. So Lucas had an earlier run in there with the number 1 of Zach Bristol, but he was able to translate that into getting into that third spot, but then having some trouble right before the access road, getting spun sideways. So we're going to have a new third place.
We are 3 slower cars now between Solomon and Hasenfluck, who got up and actually kissed the wall just a little bit as he came off that 4th corner this time. Your race leader, the black with white 17, in the middle of the corner right now. He's got 3, making almost 4 slower cars between him. And let's go in cockpit with Hasenfluck trying to run down your race leader. Race leader on the right-hand screen, second place on the left as he looks to navigate these slower cars.
Yeah, just gets by Cody Cooey here, and now he's got, it looks like just maybe 1, if not 2 cars separating himself in the 17S of Gino Solomon, and running smoothly here through the access road, getting onto that turn, and we'll see if he sticks in maybe the middle ground. But it looks like maybe things starting to dry out a little bit too. The rain has stopped, so hopefully that's good news for Ryan Hasenfluck, and we'll see what he can do with about 12 laps now remaining.
That is a former champion and a now current champion who actually knows our one car, second car, Gabe Sessler, our Legend Division champion in the INEX Legends, running for Matt Ginger Pioli. And does a little banging around with Hasenfluck, who now has to get around somebody else trying to pick up the car number on that as he tries to make his way forward to Solomon. Two cars battling side by side. That's Hibbs in the 98. And look out, we have got all kinds of action going on for second place Ryan Hasenfluck, who's just looking for a clean path through. Your race leader right in front of him, and Solomon in the 17.
Wow, look at that. A couple of 17s there side by side, or maybe that was a 32 of Preston Brandt, but Gino Solomon now able to get around and now not as close as he was to the 33 of Ryan Hasenfluck, as Hasenfluck now has that car between him, which is the 32 of Preston Brandt, but that got awful close down that backstretch, and good thing for Gino Solomon. He was able to kind of make his way through and get around some lap traffic.
So Solomon putting another one in his rearview mirror here as he swings on by. Gino Solomon in the 17 looking to hold off Ryan Hasenfluck with a single slower car in between them. It has been Ryan who has just been marching rhythmically like the beat of a drum up and through this field. And now a couple of car lengths in behind your race leader and making a big run coming off of corner 4.
Just a great aggressive move there, like you said, coming off, and he's trying to get around Gabe Sessler, and it looks like Ryan Hasenfluck is going to do just that. So now no cars separate them, at least for the time being. The 33 Ryan Hasenfluck right behind the 17S of Gino Solomon as they come out of the access road now, heading into turns 3 and 4, but very impressive. We'll see if he can do the same thing coming down the front stretch once again.
Solomon used the opportunity to try to scoot away, build a little bit of pad between himself and Ryan getting into the corner, but you can see how much more speed Ryan carries going into that first left-hand turn. They're coming up on Brady Smith's 12B and Brian McNamara's 101. How are the slower cars going to affect this? About to find out as they make their way through the boot portion and on to turn 3 of the 3/8.
And, you know, it's interesting to see, even with some issues, the 03 of Lucas Hasenfluck still appears to be sitting in that third spot. So very nice to see Ryan, the father, and the son, Lucas Hasenfluck, sitting in that third spot in the 03. But really the battle right now between Gino Solomon and Ryan Hasenfluck is Hasenfluck almost takes a look. Now he's going to take a look to the low side. He's going to be on the outside, but gets a little bit loose maybe there going into the access road. Gino does a great job maintaining the same line he's been taking all throughout this race, and once again builds up a little bit of advantage here as they come out of turn number 4.
Just a little too much speed coming into that right-hand turn, and it kicked him wide going into the corner. You had to slow way up to make the left-hand turn as Solomon looking to dispose of McNamara in the 101, and here comes Ryan once again. You know, a driver who only won his first feature event in this division less than a month ago. Ryan Hasenfluck with a look to the inside of Gino Solomon coming down through 3 and 4.
Yeah, so we'll see. We've seen how strong Ryan Hasenfluck has been down this front stretch. Loses maybe just a little bit of speed coming into that final portion of turn number 4, and Gino Solomon on the high side. But now once again, look at that move to the low side. Ryan Hasenfluck, and he's going to just pinch off the 17S of Gino Solomon, and out for the moment in the lead is Ryan Hasenfluck in the 33.
Gino had to scamper down to the low groove to try to get past the low car and just ran into the corner way too hard. It pushed him out at corner exit. Hasenfluck there to jump and take advantage. We've got a new race leader with 4 to go, Ryan Hasenfluck, but Solomon's coming. He wants it back.
And, you know, you talked about the spurts that Gino Solomon was doing earlier in this race going down that front stretch where it just seemed like he was passing by other cars going in slow motion. And to me, that's what it looked like what Ryan Hasenfluck was just able to do to take over this first place spot. He cruised past Gino Solomon and did it at such a perfect time because Gino had nowhere to go to be able to make that first initial turn on the backstretch.
That was a really savvy move right here by Hasenfluck to get to the outside of this driver coming into the corner. He's got a run on Brady Smith, and there's Solomon using the corner panel to try to get into the rear of Ryan. Let him know he's there. Hasenfluck gonna have to slow way up to make the right-hand turn and now make the left with Smith right in front of him, and Solomon couldn't quite squeeze through on the bottom coming off the boot.
And Brady Smith is playing a huge role right now in this race for first, the race for $1,000, as Ryan Hasenfluck still holding on to that first place spot. 2 laps now to go for the 33 car, but the 17S continues to make sure that he knows he's still there and battling for that first place spot.
It feels like the action portion of this corner is like the chicane through right about here and then going into the bottom of turn number 1. That's where we've seen the most passing here come on this course. They've got one more circuit to make as Hausenfluck again going to come off of the mid, push her up to the wall on the front straightaway, 1 to go. Solomon doesn't have a run on him going into the bottom of 1 yet. Let's see what happens in the chicane.
So Brady Smith continues to be out in front of your leader, the 33 of Ryan Hausenfluck. Ryan still looking for any opportunity to get around that 12B, but kind of following behind Gino Solomon, obviously now losing out on any remaining time on this race to be able to pass by, and Ryan Hausenfluck looks like he's going to be putting it in cruise control.
The coast is clear coming to the line. Hausenfluck takes the Hornet Nationals, his second career win here in the Hornet division. Solomon with a fantastic performance in second. And then wait for it, it might be a little while here as this field strung way out. Lucas Hausenfluck is going to end up taking third amongst all these cars crossing the line. Checkered flag for him. Wow, what a race. Hornet Nationals in the books for the Interstate Battery Hornet National Main. And let's throw it down to the Angel of the Winds Casino Resort podium.
Haven't joined us out here too much this season. Started to really pick it up here near the end. How's it feel to take home this third place finish for Hornet Nationals?
Oh man, it feels awesome. The track was wet, hard to battle with it. I'm just so happy to be up here. Thanks, Dad, getting the car out here. Yeah.
Believe it or not, you actually had the fastest car on that track during the race. Shooting around in the 03 machine. Who would you like to thank for that?
Dad, you suck. I gotta thank my sponsors, Edwards K&S Construction, Cornerstone Homes, Bees, Fabs, and Tuning, my dad, my girlfriend Zoe, pit crew, and yeah.
Driver of the 03 machine, Lucas Hausenfluck, is third place tonight. Closing laps there, you got the audience pretty excited. Those final 5 battling with Ryan. Walk us through that.
Yeah, no, I just was keeping it to the floor and trying to keep him off, but he's fast, so it's hard keeping him off. So and he was able to get by me, and I battled back up there to try to stay with him, and just didn't work out. So,
how's this track with our new little chicane compared to the normal boot?
I love it. Yeah, and I think everybody loves it. It's a lot different, and it's so much fun. So it's a good track to be on.
And who would you like to thank for getting the 17S to victory lane?
I want to thank Valley Asphalt, Hair Inc., the Teen Shop, Handy in the Valley, SC, and Snoqualmie Falls Credit Union. And I want to thank all the fans. Thank you. Thank you for coming out in the ring.
Second place tonight, the 17S, that's Gino Solomon. Could hear you shouting from over there that it took everything you had to get that win. 5 to go, you made the move. Walk us through.
Honestly, dude, I don't know if I was going to, but I just was able to navigate that lap traffic, and I got lucky. Holy crap. Yeah, Gino was hard to get around tonight. That track was slippery. About halfway through, there was one lane that was getting dry, and I just kept the car there, and it accelerated. And, well, here we are.
How's it feel to grab the podium tonight alongside your son?
Oh, dude, this is freaking awesome, kid. Hell yeah. Woo-hoo-hoo! He's not even paying attention. What the heck, dude? Oh, no, man, it's a blast. Way to cap off the year. Championship night didn't go very well for me. I ended up in an accident, but hey, I'll take the $1,000. Screw it.
Looking forward to seeing you out here next year and maybe even next week. Who helped put that 33 car together?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm going to be out here next week for sure. That other car is going to be out here for sure. And I'm going to bring the mini stock out next year. That's going to be lots of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. Sponsors, Cornerstone Homes, Edwards K&S Construction. Those guys are instrumental to keeping these 2 cars on the track. Beast Fab and Tuning, they put the heartbeats in these 2 cars, and they are friggin' rocket ships right now. Yeah, man, all you guys for braving this rain and coming out and hanging out with us and having a good time. Love y'all. Woo!
Driver of the number 33, race winner tonight for Hornet Nationals, Ryan Hausenfluck.
We're already jam-packed with action here in this show. An incredible Hornet National A main event here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. Greg Pyland, Caleb Hart, and let's up the carnage factor a little bit. Mini bump to pass time coming up. As your field will look like this, we have got a 9-car field, looks like it. Travis Krieger's 05, Hunter Jenkins in the 6, Nick Clark the 15, Bill Blame the 16B, Ryan Williams in the 19, Richard Trediak in the 58. My boy Spencer Constance in the 78 car. I can tell you all kinds of Spencer stories, and I will over the course of this. Drew Durham in the 111, and the Pac-Man car is Steve Rosel. Now, I should tell you, the Pac-Man car may have forgotten his transponder. Oops. So
that doesn't happen, does it?
Well, so we're just going to have to hand score him somehow, some way. We'll try to figure it out. You do see the flagpole in the middle of the back straightaway. They've got to make a circuit around them. It is a 20-lap feature. And to the winner goes not only the prize money, but the glory forever.
You know, if a car forgets their transponder, Caleb, the only time I'm okay with it is if they don't have a number and they just have some sort of signal or symbol on top of their car. Then I'm all good with it. Pac-Man car, we can track it.
Yeah, I think so. Chomp, chomp, chomp as it comes down and through, right? Getting ready to eat them ghosties, or have the ghosties eat him, no matter what it is. Green flag is out, and Trediak is the black and green 58. We know that. There's the big Finn car that I'm trying to figure out. And, oh, here comes Pac-Man. Rosal was thinking violence early. Now, bump to pass, that means that you're supposed to make contact with them to get by. You don't have to spin them. You don't have to trash them. You don't have to put them in the wall. But you should hit them in some form or fashion.
Yeah, and what looks like just the 15 there of Nick Clark got spun out there. So just as you talk about the rules behind this and having a little bump to pass, then somebody had a little fun there with the 15 of Nick Clark as we see your leader, the 19 of Ryan Williams, making that nice smooth turn. And there goes Pac-Man getting spun around.
Rosal around. Now, there's my boy Constance, who's, I believe, in a shoe car that is worked his way up to third. Now, Spencer drives a little baby truck with a manual transmission on a regular basis, and his favorite thing to do during the winter, once we get to the icy months, is just pull his e-brake in the middle of the road for no reason. So he's going to be really good at this. I just see, watch, e-brake right in and through, looking for violence off the corner. Is that the 19? Yeah, right, 19. Ryan Williams is your leader. He is the official racer of the 19 car here in the mini bump to pass.
Yeah, and Ryan is just cruising through here. The 05 of Travis Krieger in that second spot. Like you said, the 78 of Spencer Constance. And there's some contact there with Steve Rosal in the Pac-Man car getting into that looks like the 58 there of Richard Trediak.
You get the feeling that Rosal woke up on the wrong side of the bed for this race. I mean, it just looks like he is out to cause mayhem.
You know, I think when you put a Pac-Man on top of your car, I think you really only have one course of action during a mini bump to pass, and that's just you're not trying to win, you're not trying to podium. You're trying to hit as many cars as possible.
And I am here for it. Choose violence always. As this is easy. This is easy mode for Williams. Look out, coming in. These two right here. And Trediak and Rosal might have the magnets attached to their car. And Trediak is taking a very wide berth in the corner. I think he might be getting tired of already getting whacked on by Pac-Man. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, either that or maybe he's just plotting the time to perfectly allow Pac-Man to pass by if he goes too wide. Look at that move to the inside by Trediak in the 58 car.
That was almost like technical. That was almost like set him up. All right, he's going to come wide off the tent pole. I'm going right to the bottom. It's going to happen. All right, so be it.
And I think Trediak knows that that Rosal has a spare tire on that passenger backside, so he's going to take advantage of that, you know? He's got one smaller tire than everything else.
Whatever it takes, as here comes Rosal again into the back. Oh, come on, Spencer, hit something. Hit something, Spencer. He didn't hit anything. Oh, well. Although Rosal hit something, that's awesome. Nice job. And almost got cleaned off on his way in by your race leader, the 19 of Williams.
Yeah, and that was a 15 of Nick Clark. Now that's going to be side-by-side with Richard Trediak. And once again, back to your leader, the 19 of Ryan Williams, cruising through here as we see Pac-Man coming across the start-finish line. And just about now, your leader is also coming across the start-finish line. So, like you said, those two seem to just be so attracted to one another on this track, on this mini bump to pass.
Ooh,
and there it goes once again.
Around.
Smoke coming out of the Pac-Man car after contact with Richard Trediak.
It's a two-man show. We got like 9 cars out there, but these two, they're doing the things. All the things as your race leader is lapping people left and right. I should have mentioned, as you're watching your race leader, Ryan Williams, this segment brought to you by Bardall. Bardall Manufacturing, located in Seattle, world leader in automotive lubricants with oils, additives, and lubricants for your car, truck, boat, or motorized toy. Pick the brand races around the world. Rely on Bardall, celebrating over 82 years in business and operating in 90 countries. Make Bardall your brand.
Just as you were talking about Bardall, our friend Rosal and Tretiak just got into it once again, and now it looks like Rosal having a little bit more fun, but with another car this time. The 58's out of the picture, apparently.
Oh, well, 58's up there hanging out by your race leader right now. Gets past him and gives him a little fender for his trouble. Is about halfway through this A feature here for the mini bump. Look out! No, Steve! No, that's not Steve. That's Tretiak. Tretiak, there's a tire there, bud. Can't park your car there, bud.
Not a good spot at all as we see Ryan Williams successfully completing the loop, and the 15 of Nick Clark, though, just keeping pace, not in the top 3 right now, but Nick Clark has the opportunity maybe to spin around Ryan Williams and make things interesting for Travis Krieger or Spencer Constance.
I think Nick Clark needs to find, like, second gear if he's going to be able to pull that off. I mean, that car looks like, oh, Spencer, look out! Yeah, all right, Pac-Man nailed him. Look out, buddy. That car sponsored, by the way, by chickenstripreview.com, which is Spencer's website. He legitimately owns chickenstripreview.com.
That's a great website.
He
a great business. I love it.
He is all about trying to review as many chicken strip baskets as he can around the country. It's wild stuff.
That's impressive.
He lives a wild life, man. 9 laps left to go here on the mini bump to pass, a main event. Brian Shaw in and around. I think Clark found second gear there. Way to go. Oh, look at that. Well, Steve Rosal, that left front is not in good shape at all, and to the point where we've got debris on the racetrack, like big pieces of metal are out there, and that's bad. We can't let them keep running on that. Normally, bumper cover, something like that. Sure, run it over. What the heck? Composite's cheap, right? But big shards of metal, can't do it. Got to stop them. Got to clear it. We'll go back to green here in a second.
It'll be interesting right before we went to caution there because of some items left out on the track. It looked like the 19 was maybe having a little bit of trouble, but still cruising out there is Ryan Williams out in the lead with Travis Krieger, and now Nick Clark in the 15. So after some troubles there with Spencer Constance losing out on that 3rd spot.
Well, all right. We're down to a couple of laps to go. Magically, it was time travel during the yellow flag situation. As we're down to just 2 left. There is Williams, Krieger, and Clark is somewhere back there. I don't know where, but he is back there. We'll find him once again. As Williams has had it relatively easy. We're just going to leave Steve Rosal right there. It's another piece of debris for everybody to work their way around. It's a big mobile piece of debris that's not really moving as they come into 1 to go.
We don't want to see Steve Rosal get hurt, but I think that they should also have to bump the Pac-Man cars they're going through there, right? It shouldn't be a free pass by.
No, I mean, at least a scrape down the side, right? I don't think you want to full-on, nerf the guy, but, you come in right here. Okay, this is the clear spot. Now, when you make the circle, I think they should just run down the side of him.
It's time for a new paint job, Pac-Man.
Oh, see, it was close. At least they made him think about it for a second.
That's right.
All right, Ryan Williams going to come off the corner, and he will get the victory. Williams wins in the 19 car. Krieger will get second. And your last man standing is the 15 of Nick Clark. Well, we've got to go down. We've got to go trackside to the Angel of Winds Casino Resort podium and talk to your top 3 on this. We will do that, and then we will come back and after the podiums, the commercial break, we'll be getting into the 30 minutes of fear. So let's talk to your winners, and then we'll be back with 30 minutes of fear next here on Home Track Heroes.
Nick, it was pretty much kind of riding around trying to save the thing. You guys back from about 3rd on back, though, were battling pretty tough there towards the tail end of the field, though.
It was a good one.
I know these mini bump to pass races are often about survival. Is that kind of what it came down for you, just in those last few laps?
100%.
I know what keeps you coming back out here. It looks like a whole lot of fun for one thing, but what keeps you coming back out each and every week that these events are on throughout the Pacific Northwest?
This is my first year doing it, and just the fans, this is exciting.
Got anybody to thank with the 15 camp that keeps you coming out?
Yes.
Who are they? Who's the list?
Of who?
Anybody you like to thank?
I would like to thank my brother for getting me into this. I would like to thank my wife and my 2 kids.
Nick Clark bringing home a third place run tonight, the 15. Nicely done, Nick.
Thank you.
Travis, the yellow with about I think it was inside of 10 to go there. It kind of threw a loop in everybody's plans, but I think you had Nick sandwiching you trying to get to Ryan there that kind of thwarted any attempt at pass in the restart.
Yeah, it was a little rough out there. The car was overheating about the second half of the race, so it was a little tough.
Looked like things were starting to dry out, and then we got a little bit more wet stuff there. How did that kind of affect things running it and kind of throwing off the game plan from what you thought the track might be like to what you eventually had to run on?
I prefer it in the rain when it's slick out there.
Kind of shakes things up a little bit, especially in these front-wheel drive cars, I can imagine.
A ton, yeah.
Who do you got thinking, or who do you got to thank, and who do you got helping out here tonight with the 05 camp?
My wife and kids, and a big happy birthday to my wife tonight.
Okay, there you go. The second place trophy, the birthday present. Travis Krieger getting the job done with the second place run. Nicely done, Travis, in the 05. Ryan, not often that it's Saturday night driving these things, but the starting up front had to help, and it seemed like it was pretty much smooth sailing after that.
Yeah, the car's pretty slow. I'm surprised nobody caught me, but starting off the front did help.
Of course, maybe the rain having a little bit of help with that, too.
Yeah, absolutely. The no traction helps me out.
Great equalizer. I know you got a few people to thank and a few supporters down here at the front as well.
Yeah, Williams Motorsports. We've been racing here for as long as I can remember. All my family's over here, the Williams, everybody. Thanks for coming out and supporting us. Love you guys.
I know you guys had to think about 8 cars for the main event, and it seems like it's been building and building. If somebody's looking at this, getting interested in maybe competing in Mini Bug to Pass, how can they try and get a car out here, or who can they ask to kind of help out and guide them in the right direction?
For me, it was my father. I'm not sure who to ask around here. There you go, Facebook. It'll help you.
Of course, yeah, there is the Mini Bug to Pass Facebook page, so make sure to look that up. Anybody else that we missed in the thank you list, or are we all good?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Ryan Williams gets the job done tonight in the 19 car. Nicely done, Ryan.
Welcome back here to Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. I'm Caleb Hart. He's Greg Pyland, and we have got 2 major feature events coming up. The first one, it's time for 30 minutes of fear, Greg. Stinger 8's on the track, the Buzz Inn Steakhouse Stinger 8's for their biggest race of the year.
All right, so we're going to lead it off row number 1, the 46 of Mike Hathaway, sponsored by Rep and Welding and Rail, the 03 of Lucas Hassenfluck on the outside.
Row number 2, Devin Jenkins, the 195. Next to him, it's Cody Cooey in a second JBR 46 black and green K machine.
I'm already confused, Caleb. Row number 3, it's going to be the 20 of Riley Riddell, sponsored by DL Enterprises. On the outside, the 16 of Peyton Hopp, brought to you by Papa's in Monroe.
Derek Myers is in the gray with yellow number 73. Next to him, that's the Bulldog Haven Northwest sponsored car. Next to him, Matt Somerville is in the white number 21.
Jackson Beck on the 18J, sponsored by JBR Racing, the 16B of Bill Bleen.
Row behind them is Jacob Funk. He is in the 87. Next to him, Cody Weldon. The 151 is sponsored by All Ply Roofing, LLC.
Then in a new car, it's the 07 of Zach Bristol that we saw earlier, PMS Power Decals. On the outside, the 66 of Cole Cooey.
And then at the back of the field, in a Bristol-esque looking car, the 1 is Ryan Clark, one of our Outlaw figure 8 drivers, who's going to take the Stingers. The green flag is out. They're going for 30 minutes. That timer started from their pace lap, so 28 minutes and 25 seconds from now, we will throw a checkered flag. Ish is, Hathaway. Hathaway, that's bad. That's very bad, with Ryan Clark and many, many others coming straight at him, but is it going to hang? Is it going to hang there, Mike? That's fine. Everything's fine. That's fine. New race leader is Cody Cooey at the 46K. He will jump to the front, out in front of Lucas Hassenfluck, who was third in the Hornet National main event. And coming up behind him, that looks like Somerville's 21 and Hopp's 16 car, as Hassenfluck and Cooey going side by side into the interception. Oh no, this is, you know, talk about announcer's curse, is now both of the black and green cars going to be right next to each other again. I thought we had gotten away from it.
We just look for the bride of Chucky on the passenger side. That's going to be Mike Hathaway. There's Cooey getting by with the 46K, but it's the 03 of Lucas Hassenfluck. You talked about a success in the Hornet Nationals, now leading this pack here for 30 minutes of fear. The 21 dragging a little bit of extra materials there down the front stretch through the intersection, but we'll see if Matt Somerville's able to shed that extra weight as we saw earlier in Hornet Nationals and few cars doing that. But Jackson Beckel and 18J making a good run.
Beckel is your defending track champion, the 2023 Stinger champ. As there goes Somerville. A little tap to the inside, and he will quickly make his way up into the front of this field, just about a few laps into it. Again, this is not a lap count. This is they race for 30 minutes, and whoever is in front at the very end takes home the $1,000 top prize here in the 30 Minutes of Fear. Behind Beckel was the 16 of Peyton Hopp, who was last year's feature winner of the 30 Minutes of Fear. So keep an eye on those two as they try to weave their way forward here.
You know, it'll be really interesting because Matt Somerville now essentially kind of has a James Bond card, if you think about it, Caleb.
Okay.
Because right now he has an impediment sitting on the back as we have contact. That was the 03 of Lucas Hassenfleck, I believe, that got the majority of that contact. The 151 of Cody Weldon also, too. But my goodness, a lot of action here early on.
And we will not stop this race unless we get like a serious have to check on the driver kind of collision with Weldon still driving around. We are going to stay green on this one. Now, in caution flag conditions, the timer continues. If we go red, the timer stops. So just keep that in mind as far as the countdown goes here on this race, as that's Cody Cooey, 46K, and Zach Bristol, the 07, now sitting right in behind him looking for fourth.
Yeah, so with Matt Somerville in the 21 car out there still pulling around his bumper, I really feel like if somebody gets too close, he's just going to release it. I think he has full control of that. He's going to release it just like James Bond used to put out spikes, and he's going to give flat tires to all the cars behind him. I think it's a great method to win this 30 Minutes of Fear.
It's that new special breakaway bumper technology.
Yes.
Breakaway bumper cover. This is the important part because there is a strong metal bar that they've got back there that comes in between where the fuel cell on the car sits. You got to have that. That's got to be intact, but that piece of metal, glass, composite, whatever it is, that's just a bumper cover. You can shed that thing all you want.
I like it. It's going to come into play, I would imagine, later on as we take a look. There's a 46K of Cody Cooey, and just out in front of the 07 of Zach Bristol, as Bristol still battling here. Cody Cooey in that third spot right now, the 18J of Jackson Beckel in second, and your leader, the 21 of Matt Somerville here with 25 minutes remaining, 5 minutes down.
There's championships littered all over this field right now as you're watching Cooey, who is our most recent feature winner in the Pro 4 trucks, and Bristol, division champion here on the year as well at Evergreen Speedway in the Hornet division. Trying to work his way inside of Cody with Riley Rudell outside looking in at the moment, but working the 20 car all over the track and trying to find his way forward.
Yeah, another driver that competed in our Hornet Nationals earlier on in the evening, Riley Rudell, out here trying to make things work as he's back behind Cooey and the 07 of Zach Bristol as they go through. And a little bit of trouble there for Cooey, and there goes Zach Bristol. What a maneuver, and Cooey, it looks like just almost stalled out there right in the middle of the intersection. Not the spot that you want to be stopping here on this track.
Good timing as you're seeing some drivers getting very aggressive and pushing their way through the intersection. That bumper is going to get cleaned out, but bumper cover is going to get cleaned out by somebody, and it's going to happen here in a hurry as aggressive as some of these drivers are being coming through the crossroads. Look out as Rudell trying to rebound, get back by Myers in the 73, and Hopp sticking his nose in, trying to work their way forward on this field also.
Yeah, and Myers still holding off Peyton Hopp, but Riley Rudell doing a great job. Just gets in front of your leader, Matt Somerville, so the 20 of Riley Rudell. Very bold there in that time through, and there is Mike Hathaway, still got the passenger on board, so the 46 car is going to go very wide and allow a couple of cars to get through that intersection. But Riley Rudell, impressive run for this young man.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well. He's right on the outside of the top three, as you just saw Zach Bristol sneaking around the right-hand turn of the south pole a little bit ahead of him. Here's your leader, Somerville, with three slower cars tagged in front. That's Hassenfleck, Weldon, and Ryan Clark. And we saw Weldon. There is no lift in that kid. He is going through by all means possible. Right now, he's up on the outside of Clark as they're going to put Weldon down another lap. And it looks like shooting around and putting some more cars down. So Somerville did a great job picking him up, putting him down. He's going to get underneath Clark and put him behind a lap as Somerville continuing to lead here.
You talk about Weldon and not lifting. I think he has fresh paint on the front and back end of that car. And when you get fresh paint, you might as well go out there and scuff it up a little bit, right? Nobody likes that new paint look for very long.
You know, when I first built my race car, the first thing I did, Greg, was take my key and just mar the powder coating on the bottom of it. Nobody else would see it, but I knew it was there, and at that point, you knew it was scratched. You didn't have any problems racing it hard.
Yeah, no problem after that. You can go as hard as you want as Somerville slows down just a little bit to get through that intersection. very close as we saw the 03 of Lucas Hassenfluck, who's in that 7th spot, coming up right behind Matt Somerville. There's the 73 of Myers coming around, holding off Riley Riddell, and Peyton Hopp trying to make a move on the 20 car.
Let's see what Peyton can do. Your reigning race winner here of the 30 Minutes of Fear for the Buzz Inn Steakhouse, Stinger 8. Buzz Inn Steakhouse serving hand-cut Angus steaks breakfast all day and mouth-watering burgers. Visit one of their 13 locations. Buzz Inn Steakhouse, proud sponsor of the Stinger 8 class. Derek Myers in the 73, working his way up and through the field. Your leader, Somerville, has lapped, I want to say, all the way through 7th already. We know Rudell is still on the lead lap of the 20 car. We know Hopp's a lead lap car in the 16, but I believe 7th place in Lucas Hassenfluck is already down a lap, so that is nothing but good things for your leader, Matt Somerville. That allows him to make a mistake and still be able to rally if that so comes up.
Yes, definitely. Like you said, it's Tris, pretty impressive this early on. We're not even 10 minutes into 30 Minutes of Fear, and your leader, Somerville, has lapped everybody all the way up through that 6th place spot. So Peyton Hopp, the last one here, as we see Peyton Hopp, just as we talk about him, going sideways there. Riley Riddell able to maintain, and it looks like that's also the 16B of Bill Bleem having some issues there with Peyton Hopp.
And it looks like we might get our first caution of this race. Yes, we will. So the yellow lights are going to come on. We are going to get our first yellow flag coming out. I was just about to say, well done, drivers, not drawing a caution flag yet here in this main event, but good thing I didn't lay the whammy on them. As we take a look, here's from Hopp's point of view, into the back and racing with Cody Cooey, and ooh, yeah, he took a shot in the shorts to get around. Unfortunately, Bill Bleem gave him the wrong end of the front bumper, and then drives right next to him and says, "Hey, bud, how's it going?"
I don't think Peyton Hopp was waving out of like kindness or anything like that in that situation either.
No.
Probably a little upset there, unfortunately, for the 16 of Peyton Hopp.
Hey, man, I acknowledge your presence. Thanks for the present. Appreciate it. Back to green flag action we go. Somerville still dragging around the rear bumper cover. Bristol in the 1. Sorry, not Bristol in the 1. That is Clark's 1 that is a lap down at this point in time. And Jackson Beckel, who we've talked about, absolutely not at all. In the 18J car is having a nice, calm, quiet run in 2nd. That is Zach Bristol's 07 running in the 3rd spot.
Yes, indeed. And like you said, Jackson Beckel doing a very good job here. There's the 18J right at the right-hand side of your screen, getting a little bit loose there, but maintaining very good speed there through the South Pole areas. We have the 07 of Bristol coming across side by side with Ryan Clark and Riley Riddell. Riddell going to go to the low side now of the 1 of Ryan Clark.
So Riddell right on the outside of your top 3 looking in, and you know he desperately would love to podium here at the 30 Minutes of Fear main event, as we are just about 13 minutes in, 17 minutes left to go here in this timed race. It is not racing to a certain lap marker. Again, once the timer runs down, we'll see a white flag and a checkered flag right thereafter, and that will end this contest as Riddell right on the back, still of Bristol, and making them work for it.
And Somerville still dragging through there as we see the 07 of Bristol currently in that 3rd spot. You see the 18J of Jackson Beckel right in front of him. There's a look at Peyton Hopp, and,
whoa.
And once again, Cody Weldon in the 151 just avoids contact there through the intersection.
You know what that is? I think I might be crowning a nickname here. Captain Chaos, Cody Weldon. That's that car. There is no lift and no fear in the 151, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's always exciting to see a driver that decides they're just going to go all out, and like you said, having that much fun out here on a wonderful 30 Minutes of Fear for this race here, as we see the 21 Matt Somerville once again now behind a little bit of slower traffic in the 87 car of Jacob Funk, and he's going to get around and ride in through the intersection cleanly once again.
Funk almost did him a favor and knocked the bumper cover off, but then lifted at the very end. And we've got 2 cars together again. That is going to be Cooey's 46K and Bleem's 16. Let's take a couple of looks through the intersection and see how it went down. And, oh, yeah. Oh, wow, Bleem. You can't park there either, bud. Brake pedal? Brake pedal. Through the corner, around we go. One more look from Peyton Hopp. So take a look at this. We're going to take a time out. We'll come back. We'll conclude the 30 Minutes of Fear coming up next here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. We are halfway through thereabouts here of our 30 Minutes of Fear main event for the Buzz Inn Steakhouse Stinger 8 division here on Home Track Heroes. I'm Caleb Hart. He's Greg Pineland. This is the Buzz Inn Steakhouse Ed Ritchie 60 Minutes of Fear show presented by Max Power Law. And we are coming back to green flag action. Matt Somerville has dominated this main event, Greg.
He definitely has. And the 21 after this restart, no kind of issues once again being able to jump out in front. Jackson Beckel in the 18J in that second spot. And still I think we have the 07 of Zach Bristol there cruising up in third. But look at Riley Riddell, going to be side by side with Zach Bristol here challenging for third.
First and second have really kind of been islands unto themselves. Third place, though, has been contested for a while, with Riddell right up on the back of Bristol. We've got just a hair over 13 minutes to go, as Bristol now making a pretty good run on Beckel through the south pole, or the right-hand turns, depending on how you want to sequence the track out. No intersection yet, although I saw Captain Chaos coming through. Cody Weldon trying to make life very interesting for your front pack.
He just doesn't let you down at all, does he? You gave him that great moniker, and he's just going to continue to show it each and every lap here.
That's a good one in particular, although I have to admit that that nickname is a Cole Sorensen nickname. I'm just applying it to a different race car driver. So
it's very fitting, I think, in this race as we see the 151.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now we have to take out the bumper cover, right? And that's got to be his next goal for the 151.
If the bumper cover survives, I think it's the upset of all time. Right? Here on this show, as intense as this racing, and the Stingers are usually very intense with as much intersection as we have seen, that's going to be the upset of all time.
I agree.
I would bet against the bumper cover surviving on Angel of the Winds. Meanwhile, Captain Chaos wide, working in and through underneath the 87 of Funk, as Beckel, Bristol, and Riddell continue for second, third, and fourth after the break. Second place now definitely in danger for Beckel, as Bristol is starting to figure out the 07.
You know, Caleb, I think you might have spoken it into existence, because as you look here, right as it come across, it looks like a bumper cover right there, and Matt Somerville finally shedding off that cover, and he's going through. So right as you talk about that would just be the letdown of the century. He doesn't let you down, and Matt just sheds it.
Just shed the extra weight, right? So that's all he needed to do is, Somerville, no more bumper cover, and we're just going to let him run it over. No big deal. Just somebody will knock it out of the way at some point in time. But look at the gap that he's developed between himself and Beckel right now. I mean, it's hard to measure how much of an advantage you have, but you'd say he's got a full set of corners on Jackson at minimum right now.
Well, you know, I think at these speeds, I think aerodynamics is huge. And once you get rid of that bumper cover, I think he's really going to be back into his groove, and he's going to be flying out there.
I can imagine that Somerville has spent a lot of time in the wind tunnel, as it is Beckel now. A little front bumper to Mike Hathaway, letting him know he's coming through. Zach Bristol right on his tail, and Bristol is looking for opportunity to get past Jackson. That is your Stinger 8 champ and your Hornet champ here for 2023 at Evergreen Speedway, and those two having a heck of a battle out front, with Riley Riddell just biding his time, waiting for his opportunity.
You know, this battle for between second, third, and fourth has been a lot of fun to watch. You just talk about Jackson Beckel, Zach Bristol, Riley Riddell, as we'll see what kind of action they have. Peyton Hobb just going through the intersection right now, so they're able to get cleanly through. And I have to imagine that restart helped just a little bit too, right? Because we saw how much separating was happening between all these cars, and they get bunched up, but it doesn't last for long, as we can see Peyton Hobb now just having to slow down, and so he was in front of Jackson last time. This time he's going to go just behind Riley Riddell.
Well, look at that. Somerville is just barely getting through the intersection before traffic at the moment, so he's going to have to keep his pace up. He's going to have to get around Weldon relatively quickly here if he wants to stay ahead of those cars coming through the intersection. Meanwhile, Weldon's going to take her down inside the white stripe, as second, third, and fourth going to get through the intersection scot-free, at least for the moment. But a good battle between those three. Jackson Beckel's 18, Zach Bristol's 07, and Riley Riddell's 20 car. Those three drivers are second, third, and fourth in our running order.
So just over 20 minutes down, and we see Jackson Beckel getting loose there, and that's going to open the door big time for the 07 of Zach Bristol. And Beckel, you could see very frustrated there, trying to get into the low side, and he's going to go right into the side of the 07 of Zach Bristol and maybe take back over that second spot. But be interesting to see if there's any corrective action there for the 18J. But you know, it's that might be all part of this 30 minutes of fear too.
He's got a bit of a handful going on right now, does Beckel in the 18, as that car keeps getting into the corner, and it looks like it's getting looser and looser over the course of it. Bristol made a really nice save after getting tagged there. He did a great job of getting those wheels straightened back up and keeping his spot in the running order, penalties notwithstanding, whenever they may be enforced here in this 30 minutes of fear race.
And so there goes Bristol and Riddell just in front of the 16 of Peyton Hobb. So cleanly through there. Your Leader Matt Somerville still kind of out of sight, out of mind right now for second, third, and fourth, but second is still the 18J of Jackson Beckel. And just as we talk about him, there's the 21 of Matt Somerville as we go in car as he's following behind the 16 of Peyton Hopp.
Boy, look how messed up that rear bumper is on the Peyton Hopp. We've talked about bumper cover. There's a look at the bumper. You can see it on Hopp's car, that big yellow, almost looks like a cowgate type thing, as Rudell is going to get by Beckel. So Rudell up into the top three as Beckel shuffles back a couple of spots as Bristol got by him as well.
Yeah, just a very impressive move by the 07 and by the 20, getting around, like you said, somebody who's had a lot of success out in this figure 8 course in the 18J of Jackson Beckel. And once again, your boy Cody Weldon putting on a show.
Somebody make a Cody Weldon t-shirt so I can buy one. Please. Just please. I will buy it. I will pay cash. And I don't buy racing t-shirts anymore. I will pay cash. I'll pay double. So looking from your leader, Somerville, the awesome in-car Brandy Hood Promotions shot. Big thank you to Brandy as she worked her heels into blisters here over the course of this show. Somerville trying to work around, I want to say that's Ryan Clark's car, and that would mean that he is lapped up through 6th as he gets by that race car. So one heck of a run for Somerville. Now only 5 cars remaining on the lead lap as we hit into the single-digit mark for time remaining.
Yeah, just very impressive. And now at this point right now, if you're Zach Bristol, you got to look and see all of those lap cars that separate you from Somerville. But, you know, we talked a little bit about it earlier in the Hornet Nationals when you have some of these lap cars right now having a hard time getting around Ryan Clark as Matt Somerville. And is this going to allow Zach Bristol to be able to catch up a little bit here too?
He's still a full set of corners in behind. The real scary thing here is intersections when you're marred in that much traffic. Looking through Bristol, yeah, it looks like he closed a little bit. He's got a lot of Riley Rudell to deal with, though.
He definitely does, as the 20 is right behind him, the 07 as they're making their way through the intersection cleanly once again, and just coming in, Cody Weldon right into sight. So he's going to be eyeing the 07 and the 20 as they come back through the intersection one more time through, as we'll see what happens, and no problems there that time. Nice job for Zach Bristol.
You know what's shocking is that nobody's hit the bumper cover yet.
Yeah.
It's sitting there on the North Pole. Let's watch it. I'm hoping it's sitting there this time. I don't want to speak this into existence. Coming through, there's Bristol, your second place car in the 07. Bumper cover mostly unmoved as he gets a little wide. They're 3 wide coming off the corner, and this is danger for your second and third place cars through the intersection. Thankfully, nobody coming. And Bristol was able to kind of hug the bottom and stay in there. He's going to cut this turn. Now, every once in a while, we'll give the drivers a little bit of forgiveness on that, but in doing so, Rudell keeps his momentum up and makes all the way past Riley Rudell, now the runner-up.
Yeah, very exciting here for Riley Rudell as you talk about that bumper cover. It's almost kind of like the Pac-Man car was in the mini bump to pass right now. It's just sitting out there as an extra obstacle for these drivers, but Riley Rudell out in that second place spot now in front of the 07 of Zach Bristol. We've seen how far the 18J of Jackson Beckel has fallen off from this group, once in second place and now potentially maybe still in fourth, but he's way far out of vision.
Did a good job of picking his way to the inside in the 195 of Devin Jenkins to get by and pushing him further down the list. He's going to force Bristol to find his way out and around him. So Rudell staying side by side with Jenkins until he can get to the inside of the North Pole. And there's Bristol, love tap, coming back after him, gets a little narrow off the corner. Rudell holds it for now, but Bristol door panel with him through the intersection.
And what a great battle here for that second spot as they're coming up on the 151 of Cody Weldon. And it's Riley Rudell going to the inside here around the South Pole. The 07 of Zach Bristol falling off just a little bit here, but now Riley gets a little bit wide. That opens up the door for Zach Bristol to go to the low side, and Riley's going to be pushing Cody around this corner here. And now back into second, the 07 of Zach Bristol.
So Bristol takes second back over, Rudell back to third, and Jackson Beckel got real close to him during that portion of it. Beckel had faded back a little bit, but used that opportunity to close in. Just 5 cars left here on the lead lap. We haven't seen Matt Somerville in a hot minute or 3. As our race for second, third, and fourth been really good with the 07 of Bristol, the 20 of Rudell, and now Beckel's 18 getting back involved.
Just a lot of fun to watch the 07 and the 20 battle back and forth, and now potentially the 18J of Jackson Beckel going to make things interesting for that second through fourth spot. But like you said, Matt Somerville in the one, as we have some issues with Jenkins there, and Lucas Hassenfleck goes around the bumper cover. I don't think anybody hit it that time.
I don't know how it got through that without being smashed up, as Bristol weaving his way through traffic. He slices, he dices like some Ginsu knives, cutting his way through, and now getting some very needed pad between himself and Rudell here in this field.
Yeah, that 03 car is going to be...
There it goes!
Oh, there it is. Somebody finally got it. Huh?
I saw it got tagged. I think it was Jenkins who did that for us. If it wasn't, he's getting credit for it.
Yeah, you got to give it to Devin Jenkins. And the 07 of Zach Bristol now back behind the 1 of Ryan Clark, and it looks like Riley Riddell able to get around that 03 very quickly there.
He went full send coming into that corner to the point where he almost had to catch up to the race car coming in. There was a lot of speed that he had. I'm assuming a quick jam on the brakes of, oops, maybe he can't carry that much momentum into this turn. But, yeah, he soaked up that gap that Bristol had built for himself real quick like.
Just over 27 minutes down and 30 minutes of fear. We're now at 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. Your leader, Matt Somerville, in the 21. We have the 07 of Zach Bristol and the 20 of Riley Riddell, second and third. But really the battle and a lot of the fun that we're having right now is between the 07 and the 20.
Yeah, these two have been, it's like they've got the magnets on their race car between their bumpers on them. They have just been connected here for the better part of all 30 minutes of what this race is going to be like, where you saw Bristol, you saw Rudell the whole time. But a great battle between, weird to call Zach Bristol a veteran for still a young race car driver, but a seasoned veteran and a guy cutting his teeth as here comes Rudell. Got to the inside of the North Pole. It's going to situate him on the outside here of the South Pole, but if he can make it stick, he'll have the preferred line coming into the left-hand turns.
Maybe not able to make it stick. It looks like Zach Bristol going to have that low side, but you know, they've just been so calculated, it seems like, this back and forth. As Riddell has the door opened up just a little bit, he's going to get by the 07 of Zach Bristol. So great move there, and way to be patient by Riley Riddell.
That was the saying in physics, every action has its opposite and equal reaction of some kind. Bristol had to really keep the hammer down getting into the corner into that left-hand turn, and it caused him to push at the center of the corner, which way opened that door up for Riddell coming off the turn, and that's how he got that spot. So nice run, Riley, as they are about a half track behind. Your race leader, Matt Somerville, coming into just over a minute to go.
Somerville just that last time through had a lot of traffic coming through that intersection. That time it looks like making it smoothly through, but now Riley Riddell, Peyton Hopp side by side as Zach Bristol right behind the 16 of Hopp. But Riley Riddell doing anything he can to get around that 16 car as he comes through. He's going to be in the South Pole and gets to the inside of the 16 of Peyton Hopp, and Hopp gets a little bit loose and wide out there in the South Pole area.
Jackson Beckel a little ways behind, unable to close over the course of that set of corners. Now coming up on the slower car of Jacob Funk, and how is Riddell going to handle it with just 40 seconds left to go? Makes the move to the inside, and he will keep second for now, as Bristol looking for one more spot. He's trying to ascend to second before this thing is over in 30 seconds.
You know, very excited to see 30 seconds left here. Riley Riddell holding on to that second spot. There's the white flag out. 1 to go for the 21 of Matt Somerville, and 20 seconds remain in 30 minutes of fear.
So it's approximately 30 minutes of fear. Thereabout.
That's
We're
right.
good enough for that.
Very close.
Somerville has just been utterly dominant. Congratulations to him. This has been a runaway for him, unchallenged, as he comes off the corner to the checkered flag. Matt Somerville takes the win here at the Buzz Inn Steakhouse. Stinger 8s in the 30 minutes of fear. 4 second, what a great race. Riley Riddell and Zach Bristol. Let's talk to all of them.
I know an emotional night for you. How's it feel to take home a podium on the track that Junior loves so much?
Very astonishing. That's a Hornet car. That's Hornet suspension. It's not lowered to the ground and nice and fast like the rest of the Stingray guys. With that wet track, definitely made it an even race. Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, anything was going to be cherry on top after Memorial Lap with Beaners. That's his paint job on my mini stock. Hopefully we'll get it running for a full season next year to where you guys can actually see it full time. So,
How was that battle there for a long time? You and Riley Riddell going back and forth. What was that like?
that was a lot of fun. That kid is a really good driver. Really, all the kids out of the JBR stable. I love racing with those kids. Him, Jackson, Matt. It was a lot of fun, actually, and gave me a couple shots. I knew I was slower, and I kind of looked where fourth place was, and like, you know what, just go. I'm kind of comfortable. I'll take a podium, a trophy any day of the week. So,
Who'd you like to thank for your performance tonight?
Hornet Nest Racing, Gourmet Latte, Bennett Design Construction, Tommy and Candy Hibbs, that's their car. Tommy ran in Hornets and decided just to duct tape my 07 on it. My brother, Beaners, this one's for him as always. And all you fans, thanks for coming out and braving this weather. I know it's cold and I know it's wet, but thank you for coming out, and hopefully the big fairy cars will put on a show for you.
Driver of the 07 machine, Zach Bristol, third place tonight. You started out the year in a completely different type of car. You finish it off here. You hopped in a Hornet and then converted it into a Stinger. Now here you are, podium of the season at 60 minutes.
Well, it was a really big change throughout the whole season, from running a Pro 4 truck to going to Hornets and having a whole brand new car that's different wheelbase, different drive. Pretty much everything about the car I had to readapt to, but in the end we had enough races, learned the car enough, and we got it done.
You beat a Hornet champion in order to hold on to that second place. How was that battle?
It was a really long battle. Good friends with Zach, so I was like, we were just going the whole time. I'm like, all right, I'm here, but I couldn't move him. And so once we got to like that final 5 minutes, he started pressuring him more and just gave him a light bump to make a mistake, and I just took advantage and made it happen.
Who would you like to thank for your performance out here tonight?
I got to thank DL Enterprises, Pharma Monroe, Halfcock Guns, John Bender, JBR Racing, Jackson Beckel, my dad for doing all this to get me here, Katie for helping me with everything, schoolwork, everything just to make it so I'd be able to race, family, my Aunt, Grandma, and Grandpa for always coming here to watch me race, and just everybody who has helped me throughout the season to get me where I am.
Driver the number 20, second place tonight, Riley Riddell. You put on a show for everyone behind that wheel. The number 21 took the lead, and you never looked back.
That was an incredible race. I had so much fun. A week ago, I showed up to run Hornets with that car, and my good buddy John Bender said, "No, you're not. You're running Stingers." And I said, "All right, sure." So I'd say it's worked out pretty well after 2 weeks.
Take home the win here, $1,000 from the Stinger 8. How does that feel to do it at 60 Minutes of Fear?
This is a pretty memorable win for me for sure. Back when I won the championship years ago, he wasn't here. He wasn't even born yet. So now he gets to participate in this. It's pretty fun.
And of course, who would you like to thank for this race win?
My whole family, everybody in the pits, the whole JBR crew, Airport Welding and Muffler, of course, my wife. I always say I just need to spend tonight in the garage, and it turns into the next night, and the next night. I feel horrible. We're not doing anything racing tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for coming out.
Race winner behind the wheel, the 21, Matt Somerville.
Well, as much fun as that Stinger 8 30 Minutes of Fear was, let's ratchet everything's up. Let's double the time. Let's double the horsepower, maybe even more, as it is time. This is the Ed Ritchie 60 Minutes of Fear for our Outlaw Figure 8 division, the Frank's Radio Outlaw Figure 8. Your pole sitter is Zach Larson in the 83, and next to him, Ricky Dietz, the 676, sponsored by Tire Bros of Arlington.
Row number 2, the Cowboy John Carlson in the 50 car, sponsored by Cabo Loco. On the outside, the 25, Dakota Wilkinson, sponsored by Tony V's Garage.
Row number 3, 007, Jim Power, sponsored by Pilchuck Heating. Next to him, it's 49 of Don Eslick, sponsored by Central Welding.
Row number 4, it's Jamie Corbett in the 767, sponsored by A1 Auto Service Center. On the outside, the 72 of Jeff Talbert, brought to you by Pilchuck Heating.
Fifth row is Mackenzie Dietz. BECU sponsors the Red 67. Bill Fleischacker, the V8, sponsored by Papa's Tavern, will be next to her.
Row number 6, sponsored by Pristine Landscaping, the 98 of Richard Shainbrook. On the outside, the 66 of Rick Jones, sponsored by Winter Speed Shop in Burien.
Beyond them, Doug Wilkinson, the 55, Tony V's Garage, 63 of Robert Weldon, as this race is up and underway. Weldon, sponsored by All Ply Roofing, LLC. Chris Southard is the 76S, sponsored by Three Rivers Marine. Blaine Manning, the 11, sponsored by Be Happy Carpet Cleaning. And the JE55 is Jess Wilkinson. That is your field. 17 cars. They're going to go 60 minutes. You'll see the clock come up. And your early race leader is Zach Larson, who is off a big run here recently. Zach, a heck of a run back in the 3 hours of racing in Indy.
Yeah, so the 83G looking awful sharp here. Zach Larson, Ricky the Kid Dietz behind him in the 676. And then for the time being, the 50 of the Cowboy John Carlson in that third spot as we just see the clock coming in, and already maybe just a slight bit of action there at the intersection as we see Zach Larson getting through with just one car kind of hanging off at the end. Not sure if that's the JE55 of Jessica Wilkinson, but already a little bit of action there hanging around the intersection.
So we have got a mix. You've got outlaw figure 8 cars and you've got super stock figure 8 cars here in this race, and there's a race within the race itself. $5,000 to win is Look Out Jess. That is a dangerous spot to be. And then your top finishing of the super stock figure 8s is going to get $1,000 to win. $500 for second, $250 for third. So you'll see the Outlaws intermixed with the super stocks. And the super stocks are not going to be super competitive with the Outlaws here in these conditions especially. However, they provide very essential traffic for these drivers to get through, not only to pass in normal conditions, but to shoot the intersection through as well.
You know, and we've seen some of the races, and especially when there's a little bit of water on the course here, where there's some issues, and it goes into Ricky the Kid Dietz in the 676.
Oh, knock another car in and around. Is that Eslick, I think, who is pointing the wrong way? My goodness, no, not Eslick, one of the other ones. But that was a massive collision early on in this race, and the two-time and defending champion of the 60 Minutes of Fear, Ricky Dietz, gets one right in the side from Chris Southard to start us off as, let's see our first caution flag of this one. Bang.
Wow. What a contact there. Holy smokes. And very unfortunate there. It looks like 676 of Ricky the Kid Dietz able to get things rolling there once again, but Southard got it from both sides, the front end and the side there. So unfortunate there early on action at the intersection.
I think that was Shane Brooks' 98 car, who was also an outlaw car that came in and through and kind of was part of the pinball effect that you saw there out of Southard. So let's go in cockpit with a number of these drivers as we're going to go back to green flag action, as it is Larson working his way around the, South Pole. And now Carlson will be second, and Dakota Wilkinson in the third spot. And again, that's part of the traffic I was just telling everybody about with the super stocks. They're not going to be speed-wise competitive with the Outlaws, but again, they provide some very necessary cars that makes these outlaw cars have to feather the throttle, have to work the intersection, and have to get around them. That makes this 60 minutes all kinds of interesting.
And we've definitely seen races with the Outlaws where they've been very compact, and there hasn't been as much action at the intersections. Like you said, kind of bringing in the street stocks here, it makes things maybe a little bit more interesting because they're going to be a little bit more spread out in this field. And right now we see 52 minutes remaining, 52 and a half minutes remaining, so not even 8 full minutes in here. A lot of action and just happening once again as we see a whole heap of cars having to wait to get through the intersection.
Now that yellow 63, I believe that is Captain Chaos Senior, Robert Weldon, as we saw Cody a little bit earlier, and we have seen him gunning through some intersections too, so keep your eyes on that. Dakota Wilkinson recently picked up his first feature win in the 25. Only seen Don Eslick one other time this year, as some of the super stock figure 8's going to check up before coming on through. Larson, narrow miss in the intersection as he comes up on the back of Talbert. Larson is also a feature winner on the year, and so far he has led the first, 8 minutes and change of this race in the 83 car.
And Ricky Dietz was that car that kind of keeps on coming around close to Zach Larson in the intersection. It looks like Dietz will get through cleanly here as the 83G of Zach Larson is trying to get around that 72 car of Jeff Talbert, and finally he's going to be able to do so. And there goes Dietz through cleanly here once again out in front of Zach Larson. But man, nice to see that 676 car was able to recover from that contact and able to keep on rolling, but a lot of ground to make up for that 676 car now.
In the week leading up to this race, his dad, the Crazy Cajun, Vern Dietz, was in buying a lot of spares, getting everything ready to go just in case something like this happened. Now, I can imagine that there was an abundance of time to clean the spares out. Look out, Blaine Manning. That's the wrong direction to be facing. But Dietz, the car rolls, and he is trying to make the best of it here to come back to this pack again. He's got 50 more minutes of racing. Lots can happen still.
Absolutely, and lots of things can happen, especially through that intersection as we see Ricky Dietz get through there cleanly once again. Larson now able to get around, now trying to get around the 11 car of Blaine Manning, as Manning's going to go a little bit wide there, allowing Zach Larson to get to the inside, coming around the South Pole. John Carlson just coming into frame now in that second spot, and Dakota Wilkinson in the 25 able to get around Manning as well. So your 1, 2, 3 here are in a single file line as they come around the North Pole.
and leaning on each other a little bit. We've seen them bumper up already pretty early in this contest, which is slightly strange for these cars, which tend to, in the wet conditions, run a bit more slow and run a little bit more conservative as far as using the bumpers go.
And Don Eslick in the 49 car trying to get to the high side maybe there for just a moment, trying to get around Dakota Wilkinson in the 25, but Eslick racing pretty aggressively here, not wanting to just get in that single file line. He's trying to look for any opportunity to get around the 25 here.
Wilkinson is muscling up on Carlson, trying to find advantage here. He wants to work his way into second early on in this contest. That's a lot of nose coming in and through as you see the 55 of Doug Wilkinson hanging out in the North Pole. It's through the intersection, and it's getting tight there once again. They're up on the back of Jim Powers as John Carlson's 50 is your second place car. Dakota Wilkinson in third and trying to muscle his way through as there goes Larson to the inside, putting Fleischacker down into the lap.
Yeah, it's a great move there. And here comes the caution flag for the 83 of Zach Larson. Looks like there's some issues here that's going to drop us into a caution flag, but Zach Larson doing a great job. And there is the 55. You talked about him earlier, Doug Wilkinson, sitting there on the inside of the tires.
So Wilkinson, the 66 of Rick Jones, and I think Jamie Corbett might have got a piece. It's either Corbett or it was Ricky Dietz who got a piece of this. As we're going to watch through the intersection, let's get a look from Ricky's in-car camera. As you can see, the big checkup. I didn't realize that Doug had his Outlaw-esque car out for this one. As you can see, it is topless. It's missing the big sideboards on it, but so another Outlaw in the field for Wilkinson. He'll have to start scrambling up for the back if that car is still runnable at this point.
Yeah, had some issues there sitting on the inside in between the tires as we go back with our Delaware restart. Now 41 minutes remaining on the clock here, just about 20 minutes down as the green flag comes out, and we are racing once again. And Zach Larson, it's been the 83G show so far early on, but look on this restart. You have the 25 Dakota Wilkinson around, the 50 of John Carlson, and Carlson now with the 676 right on his back bumper.
Well, taking a look at Dietz, and you wonder, yes, that is a lead lap car still. As more of our super stocks are getting together. Weldon in there, Jones in there, Wilkinson got another piece, and Blaine Manning an innocent bystander, at least for the time being, but he's going to hang out by the Uke tire as well, as we'll see another caution here in this race.
Yeah, and it almost looked like Wilkinson and Manning were almost looped up there and connected as we see them just kind of it's almost like a slow motion just turn there for Weldon, and then everybody else just decides, well, if they're going to hit each other, I think we should do the same.
Please just let me through. It's almost like the right front of Wilkinson is wedged inside the wheel well of the left rear of Manning, right? Yeah. All right, they separate each other. So a reminder, the clock continues to run through yellow flag events here. So when we come back, you're going to see that clock accelerated forward a little ways as John Carlson going to tag right in behind your race leader, Zach Larson, with the in-car camera. Big thanks to Brandy again with Brandy Hood Promotions. So we're back to green. Now through this all, the one thing, Ricky Dietz, who was involved in one of those wrecks, managed to stay on the lead lap, and because of the way this is, he's up to fourth here again on the restart.
Yeah, and that's a huge, huge gain for the 676. Like you said, kind of almost something you think, is he going to be able to continue to race in the 60 minutes of fear? But that's not a driver that I would count out at any time, and he's able, like you said, to maintain that fourth spot, stay on the lead lap, and now as you see him right behind the 50 of John Carlson, able to maintain this kind of separation and be back in this lead pack.
Taking full advantage of the get-out-of-jail-free card that he just picked up here on our Figure 8 Monopoly board, as it is Zach Larson continuing to lead. He's led the first 21 minutes and change of this race. Dakota Wilkinson on the restart, both restarts in fact, has ascended to second place. Third continues to be the Cowboy, John Carlson, one of the veterans of the division, as everybody chasing Zach Larson right now in hopes for the $5,000 top prize.
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting, I think, too, when you see some of these cars, is we get a little contact there between the 676 and the 50, but as you start to see Blaine Manning sitting there in the 11 car, right, and he's still held up, not sure if his car is stalled out at this point or if he's just waiting for a good opportunity, but really there's not going to be a lot of good opportunities, and it is a car stall there maybe for the 11 of Manning.
Well, for the and for the safety of everybody on that one, because you can't have a car stalled right in the middle of the racetrack, right in front of the intersection. One little tag on the back of him shoves him in there, and that could be nothing but disaster. So we're going to throw the caution flag on that one. We'll rebunch this field once again here as we've hit one of those patches of this race, which does happen. That gets a little rough, and we see a few caution flags. The field is also thinning out a little bit every time that happens, so the intersection's going to get a little less intense coming forward. Cowboy around Wilkinson for second, and now up on the back of Larson for the lead.
You know, all night we have seen really fun battles. There's been some of these races where that first and second have battled back and forth, but more times than not, we've seen so much excitement in that 2nd through 4th spots, and it's really fun to see that continuing here between the 25 Dakota Wilkinson, 676 of Ricky Dietz, and the 50 of John Carlson. So really fun to see these cars battle out. And Zach Larson, I'm sure if any of these cars start to get around and separate themselves from the rest of the pack, Zach Larson's going to have a lot to deal with later on, too.
Well, Larson is familiar with success here at Evergreen Speedway. He was our Figure 8 Nationals winner on early in the season. We alluded to it. He just got back as, bye-bye Zach Larson. Bye-bye Zach Larson. Problems on Larson, and off-screen he goes. Commentator's curse. I'm sorry, Zach, I laid the whammy on you right as I was about to say nice things about you. And you got a new race leader. It's John Carlson, who takes over 25 minutes into this.
You know, and this is a big deal here, too, because we see already a lap here. So unfortunate for the 83G of Zach Larson. You know, the same kind of situation happened a little bit earlier where there was trouble for the 676, but he's able to stay on the lead lap and now back into that 3rd spot as Ricky the Kid Dietz. But, man, big issues there for the 83G, and really unfortunate to see him exit here early on in this race.
You know, I'm just picking this up because we've watched enough laps here with Dietz. You're getting a really good look. That portion of the body that's torn away on his car after the Southard wreck earlier, you can kind of see a little bit of the cage construction of these cars as he comes around the corner to look at it, that part that's torn away. It's like looking at a X-ray at that point in time of one of our Outlaw Figure 8 race cars.
Yeah, it's really kind of a cool view to see how these cars are constructed, and such fun cars to ride around in this Figure 8 course, and especially with the horsepower that they have. Definitely a lot of things very interesting to happen with these cars as they're out here racing. And 63 of Weldon kind of holding off John Carlson as Carlson gets a little bump from behind from Dakota Wilkinson, and then Ricky Dietz does the same thing to the 25 car.
This would be the biggest win of Wilkinson's career. He's only got one other here in the Outlaw Figure 8 division. If he can find his way past Cowboy as they work around Weldon in through the intersection, some sparks coming out around this racetrack. Carlson gets by now, stuck in behind Talbert's 72, and Jones is 66. John's going to take to the outside to try to get by them with Wilkinson in hot pursuit, and Carlson gets too wide. 27 minutes into this, and we got a new race leader. It's Dakota Wilkinson.
And what a mistake there by the 50 car, and just going wide around the south or the north pole of this racetrack, and just gets a little bit too loose as he's trying to get around the couple of super stock cars there, and now opens the door for the 25 Dakota Wilkinson, your new race leader.
Cost him 2 spots because Dietz gets by him as well, and now Wilkinson has got your 2 big dogs, and Wilkinson gets too wide. Problems coming off. We're going to get a new race leader again as Ricky Dietz from the outhouse to the penthouse takes over 28 minutes into this race.
That was Rick Jones and Jeff Talbert, who are both kind of sitting in the same spots, at least Jones is, as we see them coming through here. But Dakota Wilkinson, like you said, losing that spot as we had some issues there with Talbert and Jones kind of taking up, and that also made the Cowboy go a little bit wide as well. And right now, Ricky Dietz, the 676, your race leader, pretty impressive.
Got to correct myself. Wilkinson's won the last 2 Outlaw Figure 8 main events in a row, so he's got 2 of them in his back pocket. But right now, he's having to scramble as Ricky Dietz doing Ricky Dietz things. When he gets out in front, Ricky rabbits. That's what he does. It is full go for him as now Wilkinson and Eslick trying to run him down as they're putting a lap, or at least putting Mackenzie Dietz down a little bit. Look out, Ricky. That's getting a little scary in the intersection as he follows around Doug Wilkinson.
Yeah, it was another Weldon that came through that intersection very closely to Ricky, and nice to be able to get cleanly through there. But yeah, just right place, right time for Don Eslick as they came through as Carlson. There we get spun around, and wow, there goes the 55 car getting spun around Doug Wilkinson. So Ricky able to get on by, and no issues there here as he's out in front with nobody trailing him now.
Well, they're pointing to the intersection, telling everybody, hey, there's a slow car going on there. But here comes Wilkinson, now with no slower cars in between them. if I'm seeing this right, I think only our top 5 are still lead lap cars as far as this goes. So 1 through 5 on your ticker. Dietz through Corbett are the only cars competing for lead lap positions right now, as I have seen them get around Powers at some point in time in this race. That would also put Mackenzie Dietz as your top running super stock figure 8 at the moment, and of course she runs normally in the Monroe Grocery Outlet super stock figure 8 division. Monroe Grocery Outlet, your locally owned neighborhood grocery store. They offer name brand products, fresh produce, organics, wine, and more at 40 to 70% less than traditional grocery stores. Shop them first and save. Monroe Grocery Outlet, the proud sponsor of the super stock figure 8 class here at Evergreen Speedway.
And nice job there by the 676 car getting around Weldon and also making sure that he was able to navigate through his last time through the intersection. The 72 car of Jeff Talbert was stalled out as well, and so there is a lot of obstacles here for these drivers to get through, but it's impressive to see the 676 kind of making his way, slicing and dicing, like you said earlier, through this track.
Ricky is rolling up on his family member, Jamie Corbett, now, who is our 5th place car, and looking to put him a lap down as there's a lane as Wilkinson just up he goes to get around the 007 of Powers. He had to do it because Carlson was right there to try to overtake him if he had opened it up. As Corbett's going to go down a lap, and Eslick, who is also a top 5 car, slows right in front of one of the Uke tires, and there's a caution flag.
So let's see here what happens to Don Eslick as he comes through the intersection, getting around. It looks to be Talbert, and then just having some issues as through the intersection here, and
clip that. I think he clipped the Uke tire because you can see the sparks coming out of it as he stops there in the corner. So that's going to group this field back up, and you imagine that's going to knock Eslick out. Corbett now a lap down depending on how they score this, so we might be down to just 3 cars tangoing for the top spot on the lead lap at this point in time.
Yeah, what a fun restart to watch here as we have the 4-way box of Ricky Dietz in the 676, your leader, the 767 of Jamie Corbett. Then you have John Carlson, who's currently sitting in that 3rd spot, and Jim Powers in the 007. So lots of fun here as we look at the 676 out in front for this restart.
Look at that light glaring coming off the South Pole. That is really something. As these cars spring to life, coming in and through the corner as we are back to green flag racing. Or should be here as they continue to work their way in and through.
Yes, and there we are, green flag racing here once again, and Jim Powers goes a little bit wide there, but 2nd and 3rd is 25 and 50 of Dakota Wilkinson and John Carlson, and they are trying to get around Corbett in the 767, and they will do just that, at least the 25 Dakota Wilkinson, and Cowboy looking to do the same thing.
Something has changed here, Greg, and just look at the speed of the cars. Something is slowing on them, and I wonder if we're getting wet coming down again, because you're not seeing Dietz kick that rear end out, and you're not seeing the raw straightaway speed that we got going on. So I wonder if track conditions are changing. You can see it's starting to shiny up out there again.
Yeah, definitely. We just saw Jamie Corbett there going around the North Pole getting a little bit loose. He got to the high side. We've seen a couple other cars do that where they start to lose a little bit of that traction. And like you said, it's a little bit more conservative here as they're staying on that inside line. And we'll see as we get a little bit further on in this race. Still a lot of time left, but a little bit of nudge there from Dakota Wilkinson. Oh. And Ricky gets nearly sideways, but he's just going to do his best impersonation of a drift around, and he's going to stick in front.
I'm very used to driving the car like that, although he massively overshot the corner coming into the South Pole. Wilkinson, if he can get to the throttle in time, couldn't quite get side by side with him coming at least through there. And then big front bumper into the corner. Dietz pushes wide, loses spots. New race leader 34 minutes into this, Dakota Wilkinson.
Yeah, what a great move there. And John the Cowboy, John Carlson in the 50 car, still in that 2nd spot, and here comes the 676, so didn't lose a lot of ground there, but you could tell he just almost started to slow down. He came awful fast through that intersection, started to slow down just a little bit, and he saw Dakota just give him a little bit of a nudge, and he went straight forward, and Dakota able to take over that 1st place spot.
I wonder if Dietz, you look at the way that car, I mean, he has handled the bump a little bit better than what he does before, but I wonder if the changing track condition combined with maybe that shot to the suspension he took is really hurting him right here, because now no slower cars between him. He is losing touch with those top 2, and he's losing touch with them quickly.
He is definitely indeed. As You see just out of frame is the 50 of John Carlson in that second spot, as we have about 25 minutes remaining, and there goes Jamie Corbett. He's getting around the 676 of Ricky the Kid Dietz.
Corbett's going to have to pick a lap back up in the process to actually secure the position, as Dietz is going to get back by him. We are over halfway through the 60 minutes of fear. We will finish this off when we come back here on Home Track Heroes as you watch on Seattle 11. Welcome back to Home Track Heroes here on Seattle 11. 8 minutes remain in the Ed Ritchie 60 Minutes of Fear. Buzz Inn Steakhouse and Max Power Law are presenting this main event here on Home Track Heroes. I'm Caleb Hart. He's Greg Pyland. We had a lead change right before we went to commercial break, and now time is running out for everybody. Your race leader is the white 25 car you see in the right-hand portion of your screen. Your third place car is Ricky Dietz in the 676. The Tire Pro sponsored car is running around, and of course the segment brought to you by Tire Pros, the official tire dealer of Evergreen Speedway. Tire Pros, your one-stop tire retailer where honesty is the best policy and they have a hassle-free guarantee. Tire Pros, all the national brands and a nationwide warranty on your tires. Go to TirePros.com.
And great job here. Great look at the 25 Dakota Wilkinson, with the 50 car still in that second spot, but not even in frame at the current time. And it's actually now going to be the 676 of Ricky Dietz now in second. So big impressive. No, it looks like maybe it'll still be the 50 of John Carlson, but Ricky Dietz now actually right back behind the 25 Dakota Wilkinson, but still the 50 in that second spot, as we see Dakota Wilkinson coming straight through the intersection. No problems there. We see the 50 of John Carlson just going through the intersection now.
So what has happened during the time that we were away on commercial break is that Wilkinson has lapped Ricky Dietz. So Dietz is no longer a lead lap car. He is in third, but somehow if he catches back up to Wilkinson, all he's going to do is unlap himself with a chance to maybe come all the way around again and get him. But right now, it is Wilkinson and Carlson. Those are the only cars who have completed every lap of this race.
And like you said, we appeared to see that there was potentially some issues with that 676 car, and just knowing that now that he was lapped by the 25 car, including the other cars too, it's pretty crazy to see how much has changed here for the 25 Dakota Wilkinson and getting past that 676.
In a race like this, an endurance race, a huge part of it is going to be keeping your car in good working condition. You know, there's an old racing adage, we've all heard it, to finish first you must finish, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Ricky, that early, lap 2 accident with Southard put him behind the 8 ball here in this one, and he's scrambled to a third. Good for him. But right now, it's a Wilkinson and Carlson show, and really it's a Wilkinson show because Carlson's nowhere in screen.
Yeah, and he's just out there kind of in cruise control a little bit here for the 25 car as we see him coming around the South Pole, right between Weldon and a couple of other cars cleanly through the intersection here. So you got to think at this point right now, Dakota is just thinking about as conservative as possible without losing any ground and allowing the 50 of John Carlson to catch up. But you know, he's just got to be really careful here now with 5 minutes left to watch what he does at each and every intersection.
I would imagine that if he's one of those drivers that utilizes a spotter, has mirrors rigged up in the car, that his spotter is giving him a countdown as far as time goes, and more importantly, how far back Carlson is at this point in time. Hey, John's a half track back. You can continue to ease up. Hey, John's closing. He's closing. 10 back, 9 back, 8 back, etc. That way Dakota knows how hard or how not hard he needs to push it at this point in time. Now, working in his advantage, this field, a lot of attrition. I mean, we're 56 minutes into this race, and for the last, lap, the only car we've seen in his orbit is one car 10 lengths back and one car 10 lengths forward on him.
Yeah, and like you said, that's a huge part of this right now, too, because we saw how many cars actually started this race, and now we start to see a little bit of the group up here with the 50 of John Carlson now behind Robert Weldon and the 55 of Doug Wilkinson. But yeah, that's kind of where the majority of the cars are on this track, as you see the 72 of Jeff Talbert also following in with that group. But a lot of space out there for the 25 Dakota Wilkinson, and just about 4 minutes remaining for him to take the checkered.
If it comes down to it, your 7th place car, Wilkinson, that's a outlaw car, I believe, for the legality of this. So Mackenzie Dietz is still your super stock figure 8 race leader, quote unquote, and I think she's got a lot of space between the next closest car for her. There you see her in the red 67. We'll wait for this ticker to reset. She is currently running, I want to say, at the 6th position, Wilkinson is 7, and that Jeff Talbert is 8th in the 72. And I believe you can see Mackenzie almost close enough to lap Talbert here. So that's darn near going to put a bow on it for Mackenzie in the super stocks, as it looks like she's now lapped the super stock field in and of herself. She's just got to avoid some drama, and it'll be just all gravy for her.
You know, you're a bit of Confucius tonight, Caleb, because you've been speaking things into existence, and right as you talk about Mackenzie almost having the chance to pass by Talbert, Talbot goes wide in the North Pole, and Mackenzie Dietz does just that. So if you could talk about my ability to maybe win millions of dollars later on in some sort of Powerball, I'd really appreciate it.
Someday, when you hit the Mega Millions, I will expect a neat little commission check. How about that?
I love it.
Well, this would be huge. I mean, we've been watching the Outlaws for the most part, but for Mackenzie, this would be the win at both of the 10-pole races that the Super Stocks run in. Obviously, getting this portion of our 60 Minutes of Fear. She was also the Figure 8 Nationals winner in the Super Stocks, if I remember right. So Mackenzie having a heck of a season unto herself. A good points run as well, although not the track champion, but 2 big race wins. That would be huge for her.
Absolutely, yes indeed. As we take a look back to Mackenzie Dietz, you see Mackenzie there side by side with Ricky Dietz in the 676 as Dietz gets through just in front of John Carlson. He's right behind Robert Weldon now, so we'll see how he does, getting a little bit loose there coming out of the South Pole, trying to get around, and let's just around the 50 car. Wow, was that close.
I can imagine Verdon saying, Ricky, let's just put it in the box and be okay with this. We've got spares, but let's not use them. He had to think for just a second. He was thinking, because Carlson's the next car in the running order. If he had tagged him a little bit, he might have a chance to catch him.
Yeah, yes, indeed. And we saw him just go through, and that time the 50 car gets out in front of the 676. So he had to lift just for a brief moment. But like you said, maybe that's the right time to do it when you're at this point. There's a minute 30 left, and it doesn't look like, at least at this point, that many cars other than the 50 have a chance of catching the 25 Dakota Wilkinson. But at this point, you got to wonder if that's still even a chance.
Well, right now, if you're Dakota Wilkinson, you're wondering, did I check every nut and bolt on the car? Did everything get tightened? Every rivet that is still supposed to be in place is there. I haven't hit a spare rock to knock a line loose. You're hearing every rattle. You're hearing every vibration in this race car for another minute or so. The nerves have got to be out of this world for that young man, looking for 3 wins in a row and his first major feature win of the big races here at Evergreen Speedway.
And these are the situations. I'm glad that he gets around the 007 of Jim Powers, because you always hate to see somebody in this kind of lead situation that's going to be side by side with another car coming out of that corner and through the intersection. Really can't see much at that point, and so good for him. Dakota Wilkinson getting around the 007 of Jim Powers, and now just getting around Jeff Talbert. So the 25 now looks like all's clear ahead for the 25 car to Dakota Wilkinson.
I can speak to it as a driver who got lapped a lot. You don't want to screw up the race for anybody else either, so there's a little stress on the lapped car in that scenario as well. White flag out. Dakota Wilkinson, one more set of corners, and he will be the winner of the Ed Ritchie 60 Minutes of Fear. Congratulations. Dakota takes the checkered flag. He gets the W. Give second in a bit to, actually at the checkered flag, we'll get third before second in Ricky Dietz, and that locks in John Carlson to second place. Zach Larson led minutes 0 through 24. Carlson led 25 and 26. Wilkinson leads 27. Dietz leads 28 and 33. And Wilkinson 34 through 60. Let's go talk to your winner on the Angel of the Winds Casino Resort podium.
Lap number 6, you took that big hit in the intersection. Nonetheless, that car comes back out. It runs into third. How was that thing handling by the end?
It wasn't handling at the end. I don't know what happened. I mean, it was still wasn't a bad car after getting hit. Then I had brake fade, and then brake come back, and then something happened in the rear end, turning, and then I lost all bite. And I don't know if there was oil on the track or it was just me, but apparently everybody else had to run through it, and they were still pretty good. So, God, I'm just lucky that I was driving a Gunderson-built car, because that was a solid hit. Probably as hard as I've been hit in the door, maybe even ever. I hope he's okay. I know it rung my bell a little bit, but you know, when you're a racer and you got adrenaline, you don't really care about that. You want to make sure your car's okay and you can keep going to put on a show for these awesome fans. Come out here in the rain and freeze your butts off. I appreciate you and I love you guys. I hope to entertain for a lot longer. I want to congratulate my nephew for driving his ass off. Dakota Wilkinson, he's an up and coming. You know, he's going to be hard to beat, man. My family rocks.
Anyone else you'd like to thank for your performance tonight?
Of course, I got Tire Pros and Ryan Berg right here, shop of Arlington, A&AI Auto Rebuild, right? Oh, I get it right. I don't know. And he owns Tire Pros. Yeah, he owns Tire Pros out there in Clinton as well. Amongst other things, he's not just my sponsor, he's my friend. I look up to him. He gives back to the community so much. He's teaching me to do the same thing. And I think everybody should give back to the community. One thing it does is it gives you some good juju anyways.
Third place finisher tonight, behind the wheel, the 676, Ricky Dietz. Well, you almost got there, battling throughout the race. You and Code there for a long time, back and forth. Walk us through that part of the race.
You know, the track started out, it was a little wet, and we got going. It dried out, and then after that last red flag when we had, there was some oil, grease, something out there, and the track just never came back, and it was just slippery and slimy. And Code was working the best out of everybody today, and that was good run. He had us all clean. There was nothing we could do for him.
Chasing down a young gun like that, you've been racing here for a very, very long time. What is that like?
You know, it's fun to see the young guns like Dakota coming up and racing like that and being fast. You watch this kid, he's going to be coming up real quick. He's going to be nailing out a championship before you know it.
And who would you like to thank for your performance tonight?
You know, always my buddy Tony back home. My Cabo Loco guys, they're here tonight. Thanks for them. And my little fireplace guy, Hearth and Home. And while we're talking about it, I got to get you guys on TV to mention my Cabo Loco guys when we come out on TV. You're missing them all year.
Driver the number 50, second place tonight, the Cowboy, John Carlson. I'm going to try very hard to hold back my emotions here. You and I grew up in these stands. We watched race after race on the figure eight track. You did it. What's it like?
Oh, God. It's a great feeling. I grew up here. I've dreamed of winning this race for so long. And it's finally here.
3 races in a row. We talked at the start of the year. You were struggling to find the car. It hurt. You told me about that. You come out here, you run 3 races in a row, 3 wins in a row, and you crown it with the crown jewel. I don't have more words, buddy. You did it. Who would you like to thank?
My mom, my dad, my family, Bubba, A. Wesco, Rep and Welding for the tires, Pilchuck Heating. God, I still suck at this. 3 in a row, and I still can't remember. Tony V's, 2 Girls in a Leaf. Woo! Pacific Northwest Forerunner. TNA Tony, showing.
All right. One more thing for you. No. Don't leave. Come back here. $5,000. The youngest driver ever to win. Dakota Wilkinson wins 60 Minutes of Fear.
Such a cool win for Dakota Wilkinson. You saw Mackenzie Dietz up there, too. Wilkinson and Dietz related, so big family victory for those two. Congratulations. Awesome race. Great 60 Minutes of Fear.
It was a lot of fun. I think a lot of races that we had tonight was so much fun to watch. That battle towards the top of each of these different divisions, but 60 Minutes of Fear, always one you can't miss.
Hockey season commences for you, Greg Pyland. Thank you so much for being part of the show this year. Appreciate it, man. Great job.
Hey, it's always fun to be here with you each and every night calling these races. A lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
We have 2 more weeks left to go. Next week on Home Track Heroes, DriftCon After Dark. Super Ben White will be in the building. Looking forward to that. The final time you can come to Evergreen Speedway live and in person this year comes up October 7th. Road X, where we're going to run Hornets buses, Stingers, Legends. We're going to shoot off fireworks, and we're all going to do them on weird race courses, too. It's going to be cool. Make your plans Saturday, October 7th. For Greg, I'm Caleb Hart. Derek and Griff on the production. We'll see you next week here on Home Track Heroes.
Thanks for watching Evergreen Speedway's Home Track Heroes on KSTW 11. Join us next week for more great racing from Evergreen Speedway.